Buying a Mac or a MacBook in 2024 means that you most likely need a dock, an adapter, or something that gives you more ports. It's hard to find things that work really well with these Macs, especially when you want to connect multiple monitors to your M series Mac. Introducing the Ivanki Pro1 One+. It's a one-cord solution that extends your MacBook into a desktop powerhouse, connecting up to 3 external monitors, giving you a total of 4 screens to work with. If you're interested to see this dock in action, then make sure you watch the whole video. Let's go. Alright, so first things first, when you unbox this, you're going to have the usual stuff. Of course, you're going to have the dock in it. I think its color looks really nice alongside the blue iPhone 15 Pro Max and this blue MacBook Air that I have. The next thing you'll dig up in your unboxing journey is the manuals and the instructions. You don't want to throw these things out because they actually have some useful information about how the dock works and all its ports and stuff like that, and just getting it set up, because you're going to need to follow instructions to actually make it work how it's intended to work. After that, you have a USB-C cable, and then you get your power cord, and the power cord is pretty heavy compared to the dock itself. It makes sense because it's giving power to such a heavy workflow and setup. But after all that, you just have to plug it in now and get started. This dock is really simple and it expands the ports on your computer very easily with just one cord, and you might be intimidated by how much ports it has in the setup process, but it's actually not that bad. All you need to do is plug in the dock, then you connect the USB-C cable to one of the USB-C cables on your Mac or your MacBook. Then obviously you're going to want to connect the monitors that you want to connect, and like I said, you can connect up to 3 monitors to this dock, so you just want to connect them, and then you're going to continue the setup process. So what the setup process looks like is going to this website, synaptics.com. In the manual, it gives you instructions to navigate to download it. But personally, I couldn't find the download link on the website itself. So what I just did was I went on Google and I searched display link Mac OS drivers, and then it worked. I found the link and I clicked it, downloaded the drivers. And then after you download it, you just have to set up the app and you should be good to go. After a short while, the external monitors will be detected by the computer and the app, and then they should show up. And now you have up to 4 screens set up with your MacBook, all through one cable. It's very seamless, very clean, and very easy. So now if you're somebody who doesn't normally work with multiple monitors, you might be wondering, like, what can you do with this and why would you want to do something like this? And simply for the fact more monitors gives you more space to execute different things, like different workflows. For example, you could be working on a document while having your Spotify playlist on the other screen. You could be watching a YouTube video while playing a game on the other screen. You could be working on a document while you have your work meetings or chats open on the other screen. You can be working on code on multiple screens and, reference on some other screens, and so many different use cases for why you might want to use a multi-monitor setup. Personally, I would use it for video editing. I keep my viewfinder on one screen and then my timeline on the other screen, or I'll use it for while I'm consuming content, like playing a game and watching YouTube videos. And then I would also use a multi-monitor setup for typing up scripts for videos while listening to music in the background, or, just having like a checklist on the other screen. The possibilities are endless, but those are some of the most common use cases for me. Alright, so now after talking about what it can do, I want to actually try out the ports, because all these USB ports are rated for 10 gigabytes per second, except for the one that is a 20-watt PD charging port, but it can also transfer data, just not as fast as the other ones. So I want to test them out. The first test that I have is transferring files off of my Samsung SSD, the T7 SSD, and that is rated for 1050 gigabytes per second. It's not going to use the full speed of the port, but I want to see if I can get the exact numbers. And in this test, I'm pretty sure it's about around the rated amount for the SSD itself using the USB-A port. So now I want to test the USB-C port and see if the results are similar or better. And as you can see in the video, the results are pretty much similar. There are some discrepancies for like when I start the timer on my watch, and then also when it actually starts copying the files on and off of the SSD. There is a slight delay between when it actually starts doing that. But overall, it seems like the speeds are pretty accurate and they work well. So now I want to test the USB-A port with my USB mic. So this is something that I require of my computers, and especially, adapters and things like that. I want to be able to connect the things that I personally use. So the USB mic is one of the first things that I went to, and as you can see in the video and here, it actually works, and I had no issues connecting it and using my USB mic. Test the microphone. This is with the Ivanki. Testing the microphone connected to the dock, and hopefully it works blessed. And then another thing that I wanted to point out was that the audio is actually playing back through my external monitor, which is connected to the speakers that I have at my desk setup, and it works with no problem. So the computer is able to pick up the audio playback source through the dock without issues. Alright, so the next thing I want to test out was a random USB thumb drive that I have. So I'm just going to plug it in and see if it shows up on the computer, and then also if I can transfer files on and off. And I did test it out and it works. So there's no issues with that. And I also tested out a SD card at the same time as well. And again, no issues with that. So the ports actually work on this device and there's no worry about that. Sometimes when you buy a dock, the ports actually don't work or they don't function. And even they're poorly built. So when you push in certain things like an SD card, they just break immediately. But as of right now, at this moment, this dock is living up to what it says it's able to do. And then after that, I want to test out the 20-watt PD charging port. So you can charge your phone, you can charge other devices, anything that can use up to 20 watts, you can definitely charge that. The other ports can charge devices, but it's going to be a lot slower. And then this port that is a higher charging speed has a slower file transfer speed. So you want to use the specific ports for their purposes to get the most out of them. But as you can see in the video, it's able to charge my iPhone with no problems. So yeah, I tested out a bunch of different things, and basically everything that I have that I would want to connect to my computer or my Mac works with this dock with no issues. And the transfer speeds seem like they're living up to the 10 gigabytes per second. And honestly, it really depends on like what you're using. So if you're using like a thumb drive that can only transfer like 50 megabytes per second, then you're not going to get any higher than that. Even though the dock is rated at a high transfer speed, you still got to make sure that the things that you're connecting to it are compatible with those high transfer speeds. Otherwise, you're not going to get those numbers. The next thing that came to my mind when testing out this dock and reviewing it was portable setup, or a setup that you can take and bring with you anywhere. So as you can see here, I got all the things that I might travel with in terms of like bringing my computer set with me. Having this dock allows me to confidently carry like basically everything. So I can carry my SSD, my chargers, my cords, and my Mac. And I really don't need too much because the dock gives me all the ports that I need to connect everything and also to charge different devices as well. And to take it a step further, I can even bring my Nextdock 360, which is an external monitor with 360 hinge that I can connect to my MacBook and have a dual monitor setup anywhere I go. So of course you can bring this kind of setup to a coffee shop, but like you see in the video, it is a lot of items, so you might not want to go to a coffee shop and set up unless you're going to stay there for, you know, a couple hours, like 4 or 5 hours or more. Then yeah, this setup I think is good for a coffee shop. But this kind of setup and me showcasing this is more so for like if you're traveling. Let's say you're going somewhere for like a week and you want to bring your work laptop or you want to bring your work desktop setup with you, then you can easily bring that with this dock and the MacBook Air, and then throw in an external monitor like the Nextdock 360 or something else, and you can, like I said, have a dual monitor setup anywhere you go. And on top of that, this does look like a lot of items, but it actually doesn't even fill up the bag that I'm using. And this is a small camera bag, so I can actually fit different things. Like for example, I can fit a t-shirt, shorts, underwear, a towel, you know, just be good to go with a change of clothes for wherever I'm going. If I'm going to stay at a friend's house for a weekend or something like that. And then obviously if you use a bigger bag that's slightly bigger than this, then you can fit more things, more clothes and stuff like that. So this dock gives you some flexibility in terms of like not just being stuck at your desk, but also taking your desktop setup with you wherever you go. And in case you're curious, this whole package with the bag filled with all these items weighs around 10 pounds. So it's kind of heavy, but not really when you consider like carrying a bag on your back that has everything you might need in it. So it's decently light for this kind of setup. You can take it anywhere, like I said. Overall, I'm thoroughly impressed with this dock, and I will continue to use it with my MacBooks and my Mac and just enjoy connecting multiple monitors and so many different devices with just one cable connected to my computer. I think that's amazing. However, if you are familiar with my channel and familiar with me, I love to try different things. So what I did actually was take this dock and connect it to 2 different devices. So this dock is actually made for Macs. It's advertised as a Mac dock. You know, the company says it won't work with other devices, it won't work with Windows. It's just not advertised for that. But like I said, I like to try different things. I tried it with a Z Fold 6 to see if Samsung DeX would work. And then I also tried it with my Legion Go. So connecting to the Z Fold 6, it actually won't work unless you download the Display Link app, which you can find on the Play Store. After downloading that, it connects to the phone, but the only thing you can do is mirror the phone's display. So you can't actually change any settings, you can't do anything special, you can't do Samsung DeX, it just mirrors the phone's display on one external monitor. But moving over to the Lenovo Legion Go, it actually worked really well. Initially, when I plugged it in, I thought it wasn't going to work because it took some time to start up. I was concerned that it just wasn't going to work like the company advertises. But as soon as I was about to plug it out, the screen turned on and it was just working fine. It was functioning as you would expect, connecting multiple monitors to a Windows PC. In addition to all that, I was able to change the settings for each monitor as well. So I was able to put them at their highest refresh rates with no problem. And it was just a really nice setup. So I can do the same kind of workflow with my Mac and my MacBook, my Mac Mini. I can do that same workflow with my Legion Go now. So despite not being advertised for Windows, it seems to be working in my case. But that's just my experience. It might not work for your Windows computer. It might not work for any devices that you try because it is made for Macs. But this is just something cool and fun to note. So yeah, overall, I really like this dock, like I said, and I think it works really well. And I just want to say thank you to Von Key for sending this to me to try out and to review. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're interested in the dock. You can also use my code and my link in the description to get a discount on it as well and help out the channel. So yeah, until the next video, we are out. Peace.